Hello there. Just thought I'd do a quick video. Today's Sunday, and normally I give you the date. What is the date today? It must be the 10th or 11th. Sunday the 11th of September. In this heat wave, at this current heat wave at the moment, when I decided to make some LEDs today because I'm at home all day, had to go and get another bottle of gas this morning. That was all right. Sorted all out. So I'll show you what I do. And it's definitely not professional, and yeah, but you'll see. Here we go. Right, so we're in my garage. Made some LEDs already. Basically what you got here, that little thing is to stop spitting, because what I'm doing is I'm melting down some old casting LEDs which are all battered and smashed, putting them in here. Get that thing off now, that's quite warm. And what you do, it leaves the old paint and that from the casting LEDs, and all the dirt and that is on the top. So what you need to do, and what I've done now, so I've been scraping as I've been doing sets of LEDs. I'm going in the house for a cup of tea and sit down, so I'm not out here constantly breathing the fumes. But that's what the dirt that comes off the top, and you do that with a little spoon. Okay, so, and I also need to get my glove on. Right, so I've got, oh dear, glove's not very easy to use. So I've got my glove on, as you see, and I'm going to scrape. And there's also the actual LED wires, the actual tails, so it goes into that pile there. And you might think this setup is totally unacceptable, totally dangerous, but this setup, I haven't changed this setup since my dad showed me how to make LEDs. Here we go. Right, just give you a run through of what I got. So you can get these cast iron burner stoves from gas shops, gas and camping shops. Mainly, you know, they have to supply gas and gas stoves, and you can get those. This is cast iron, I believe. Of course, that will come all combined with the actual on-off tap. You'll get a length just over a metre of hose, gas hose. There's your regulator. This is a 6 kilo bottle I got this morning. I had a 3.9, but they don't do those anymore, a little dumpy one. Yeah, I like to basically keep the bottle as far away from the heat as what I can. And you basically, the first thing you're doing when you're lighting up, this for anyone who's a little bit wary about lighting these, turn your gas on first at the bottle, 2 or 3 turns to open it, then just open a couple of turns here. And I just did it with a lighter, and it just flare up a little bit, but it doesn't kill you or anything, you know. And then just put your pan on, which will have some old lead in from last time. Put some more lead in, and because casting LEDs come with paint on, sometimes the paint has actually got moisture between the paint and the lead, and if there's any moisture, any condensation, the lead will pop. So it's just good to have one of those. This is a little sieve going over the top of the pan. Now the pan itself is an aluminium milk pan which I got from Robert Dias. It's distorted slowly over time with heat, but basically I had to take the old handle off, put on a modified handle, which is a bent bit of steel tube. So cut into the sides, put a bolt through, got one bolt through, and it's being held in place either, so because I've cut into it, it doesn't rock from side to side. And then a little slot cut into the aluminium here, and then that is your pouring spout. Okay, I'm going to set up the mould now for you. Everything is pretty bloody hot. I mean, the first thing you'll do is set your mould up, then and the mould will be cold, and if there's any condensation in there when the lead goes in, the lead will cool too quickly and you won't get a full lead weight. You'll get a gap in the lead and that, so you need to heat the mould up. And just generally, this mould was placed obviously inside the mould grips. Put the mould together, I did put them in the mould grip, and I placed it around here by the flame whilst the lead was melting. So that was already preheated, so there was no condensation in there. So what we do now, over here in my making box, I've got my long tails, one long tail. I also need a bait hook, so I need to make up some more bait clips. Long tail will go, whoops, long tail goes in there, and what I'll do is I'll push that right to the end. Okay, I then put a little bait clip in there, which if you look at these, well, all my leads have got a little bait clip. You see that one there on the side? That's a little bit of the breakaway wire, bent at one end so it grips inside the lead, and then obviously bent at this end to make the bait hook. There we go. And that little breakaway wire, let's put one of these in, will sit like so, and then using my gloved hand, put them all together, spin it around, keep it flat on the floor, and then I will pick him up like that, and I'll put him into the moulds with my other hand. So I'm going to put the phone onto a stand now, make some more bait clips up, and bring it back in a bit. My bait clips, kick the lead over, that's better. Okay, you can see all that. This is a dolly, and it's got two steel pins welded through, drilled and then welded through. Yeah, and it gives you a good handle of leverage, and with this you can do various things with wire. So to make up a little bait clip, I'll make the clip as small as I can keep it. First of all, that piece goes down into the lead, then this piece here, if I can get this right, it's going to be my bait clip. Get my cutters, cut quite close. The bait clip needs to be probably about 6 to 7 mil, thereabouts, or 5, say about 5 to 6 mil. There we go. If I do that now, if I try to snap it, it'll fly across the bloody floor. But that's it. So that's the bit that sticks out of the lead. That's the bit that goes in the lead, and I'll make a few of those. I just thought I'd show you on this, going back to that subject of safety. So I've got my side door open, and of course I've got the main doors open, and I'm in here for about 5-10 minutes at a time, then I go back up. Yeah, and when that lead is melting with all the crap on the lead and that, I'm not in here, I'm out. Right, so let's take you back through this bit. Right, so we have the long tail, careful now, long tail goes in, then we have the bait clip, which is the breakaway wire, of course. That will just drop underneath there. Let it sit like that. Get the other part of the mould. Spin it around. Hold it together. Actually the clip's gone in just a bit too far. It's a fiddly operation, I must admit. It really is. Start again. You gotta go down that side, my darling. That's it. That's the kitty. Up you come, squeezing it together. Take your moulds like that. And then, because I'm making these into breakaways, I have got two little breakaway, well, it's out the same wire as a breakaway. These are to keep these little galleries drilled through the mould, keep them clear, and then later on we can turn the leads into breakaways. We can do that once the leads are all cooled down there. So that's sitting that way. It's ready for me. It's a little bit heavier now, it's got a bit more leg there. There you go. Let's let that harden. Tap. Right. Just pull out these gallery wires. One. Two. Open up the moulds, drop them on the side. There's your lead, there's your bait clip. And of course these, once they're all cooled down, I cut off all the excess bits. It goes over there. These moulds, my dad bought them back in '84 from DCA moulds in Cardiff, and they are metric moulds. Of course they weren't done on a digital mould. The moulds weren't made digitally. They would have been made, I suppose, I don't know if you say electromechanically, but they reckon there is a variance on these moulds compared to like the new digitally made moulds. But yeah, DCA 150 gram. So I've got these ones here. So if we just take one of those wires, if you look, what they do, originally they came as to be fixed grip leads. So your breakaway wire went through these two pins here, two holes there, and they were like nose wires that came out like a grapnel. So they didn't break away, but you just dragged them across the floor. And I know that Alan Yates used to use grapnels a lot in the rough seas, and that they do hold bottom, but they're a nightmare. I say a nightmare, they're quite difficult to reel in. And to make them into breakaways, you have to drill across. You can use one of the nose grip holes, which is already with the mould, and then you just drilled across, and then you had the breakaway format then, so that you could actually then, as you'll see later on when I make them in breakaways, I'll do that on part B or part 2. So that's the mould I'm using anyway. I'll clean this lot up and get those old lead wires out of there, and I'll do some more leads. Right, and that's about it really. It's a lot of common sense. If you looked around when I had to pull out a load of crap off the shelf to get my lead making gear out, and of course I'm in the garage floor, the car's not in today, so I'm just going to leave it on the floor. There's no petrol near this, you know, the most explosive thing is the gas cylinder, but everything is out of the way, away from the heat. And you have to think ahead, plan ahead, lay stuff out, because this is very, very hot. The moulds get hot, even the wire can get hot when you place it in the mould. and you go to pick it out, it can burn your fingers a little bit. So you just have to think ahead, plan ahead what you're doing, and then you can get on with the job of making leads. I've made leads with this setup on a nice waist high bench with everything laid up perfect. It's such a perfect situation. But if all you got is a garage floor, then yes, it's a case of getting down on your knees and you can make your leads. You can still make your leads on the garage floor. Right, so I call it a day there. Didn't really time it, but I've got 10 leads now to make into breakaways, and everything else is going to cool down. And then what I shall do now is take the dog for a walk, and then I'll show you part 2. Right, welcome back to part 2. Gonna clear the mess up now. Everything's all nice and cold. Yeah, so yeah. So first things first, grab my cuts. I've got on my leads. Straighten that wire a little bit. That's it. So I've got these bits here to cut off. What I'll do is just spin them. These are where the lead fills in, the spout in the mould fills through the spout in the mould. Little bits up here by the wire, by the bait clip. I'll snip that off. Like so, and all these little bits of lead go back into there. So I've got the lead now is ready to be stamped to make the grooves for the breakaway wires and to put the wires in. So let's just do the rest of these done, and then we'll put the wires in. Actually, it might be better just to do it with these. Yes, it is, because with these you just hold and twist rather than trying to cut. That's better. We'll have that there. Cut that piece off. Another one. Okay, so now we've stamped the lead to make the grooves for the breakaway wires to locate. What I do is on this bomb lead, the fattest point, which is about here, I will put a stamp in. I'm doing it on wood, so this is a masonry chisel, what about 3/4 of an inch, and so I'll make a slot in there, and one with this club hammer, just one tap, and you've got a nice little slot in there. And if I think it's a bit too high up, I'll just give it a second tap. I don't want to come too close to where the hole is, where the wire will come through. Maybe just bring it down a bit more like that. That means I can definitely locate a wire in there. Now here on this lead is stamped 150, which is 150 grams, and that's all the DCA moulds of the bombs seem to have this the actual weight rating in the mould itself, so it came out on the lead. So around about where the 0 is, goes there. And then on the back of the lead is DCA itself, the name of the company. Again, right down on the fattest point of the lead, stamp in there. And then a stamp on, you can see that little bit there, that spirally bit, that was where the lead filled in. That was the actual pouring spout in the mould. That's a little bit of lead that we had to pull off, you see. So this goes here. Just keeping that still like that. So I've got my dents now. I'm just going to cut the breakaway wires. You can buy, well, Gemini were selling packets of these in 6 or 7 inch, I think 7 inch breakaway wire ready to go, because it went with their Gemini lead making kits. So I put it through one gallery there, like so, and I try and make it equal both sides, but it's all by eye, this is. And then what I'll do is, looking at that now, take the pliers and about 5mm out, something like that. I'll bend them like that. Then I'll push that bent piece to the lead. Then I come over here, probably a little bit more out. I need to make sure that from the bend is from where I'm bending it is going to be roughly the same length as that side. Like I say, it's all by eye. It's not a... So basically, by eye, I managed to get both points of the wire to come together like that. So that is now in that fashion. And what I do now, I'll bring them up like that, and I will bend them right over like so. In fact, I can actually do it with my fingers, cross them right over so that they're touching the lead now, and they're quite springy. That one that way, there you are. So you can see now they are crossing over, which means they are tight to the lead, which means now I look at the mark and then I look along here, and I'll bend that wire out like so, and then on this side same thing, roughly same distance, bend that out like that, so that's like that. Okay, then that will locate in the slots like so. Now that is extremely tight. I need to leave a little bit more room, to be honest with you, but I've got away with that one because it's located in the slots, located nicely in there, and located, yeah, that's not locating brilliantly, but you know, I can get away with it because it's not breaking out, and you have to quite a bit of force to break that out. Next wire, and that goes through again, make sure it's even each side. Then I will move out, and I'll give it a bit more room this time, bend it right that way, pull it to the lead, come out a bit more this time, like that, that's it. So they're kind of roughly equal. That one's a little bit longer than that one, but not worried about that. It goes like that, cross them over as best I can. Then I will bend them back to make the actual breakaway. Like that one. So what we'll do, we will get, yeah, that's it. So that one's that done. Yeah, I was gonna do something then. That's like that. Then I can, now like that, they're much easier to squeeze in to make them tighter to the lead. So look at that, there she is, and that locates, there we are, it's in location slot there, and that locates, and there you have a breakaway. And the final bit, like I do all my breakaways, I just put the points up, 1, 2, just the first 6mm of it roughly, 3, 4. That's lovely. That is a lovely breakaway, and it's got the bait clip integral. It's got a decent bit of long tail there to keep the lead steady with the bait, keep that all steady in flight. And it's got long wires, not just short ones, but long ones, which help with the grip effect. And the thing about these wires, I think they're is it 18 gauge? You can go to 16 gauge where they're a bit thicker. And when these were in their heyday, a chap called Dave Dockra from Great Yarmouth, I believe, he made his leads with thicker wire, and he could use the same 150 gram lead, but because the wires were thicker, they didn't spring out so much in a strong tide. Also he could put elastic bands around. You tie an elastic band on, then you can wrap it around. It still will. They'll still flip out with strong pressure. They still break out, but they won't break out so much when all the weed gets on your line, gets onto the belly of the line, and that's what breaks you out normally. Is loads of weed in the sea that's going with the tide, catches on your line, and you get to a point the line just, the weight of the weed just breaks the lead out. But if you can keep the bait in there for another 2-3 minutes longer, more chance in a rough sea of catching something. So that's those, and that's what should do with all the others. Yeah, there we go. But that's a standard 18 gauge breakaway wire. It's quite springy, but most places where I fish, I can kind of get away with it. I also make the 200 gram ones up as well. I don't use them much at 200 grams. You know, my favourite is the 150 gram breakaway. And she's good to go. I'm just going to make the others up now. So there we have it. My breakaway leads, the leads I like to use. I hope it was all informative. Until next time. Ciao for now.